Let's start this story during Attack of the Clones. Anakin and Padme have just become married on Naboo and spend a couple of days alone on the planet together for their honeymoon. Anakin feels connected to Naboo, its countryside and natural wonders. He could see himself living here and brings this up with Padme. He tells her that she is his priority in the universe and is willing to leave the Jedi Order for her. Padme tells Anakin she feels the same and is willing to leave the Senate. They decide to do this, to give up their lives on Coruscant and move to Naboo. The news of Padme Amidala, famed queen and senator, moving back to their home planet, sparked a lot of discussion by the Naboo people. She was a great queen, extremely loved by their people, and even after her 2 terms ended, they petitioned for her to be allowed to serve a third, but she denied it. However, after her and Padme had been there for only 2 weeks, the people of Naboo started a petition to allow Padme to serve as queen again. The previous Queen Jamila's term has just ended, so there is a vacancy on the throne. Nothing like this has happened since the beginning of Naboo society over 3,000 years ago. However, Naboo was a very democratic people and always acted in the opinion of the masses. So if the majority of the people wanted something, even if it was against their constitution, it would be allowed. Padme decides to accept the offer to become queen again and is crowned and sits on the throne. Through this, she can help people once again and encourage change to her world. Since Anakin was married to Padme, he became the king, and the newlywed couple ruled over Naboo society. The Clone War had just started, and the queen and king decide that Naboo will stay loyal to the Republic and assist in their war efforts. Since Anakin was king, he had a lot of authority and power, and wanted to use this to thank the last family that freed his mother from slavery. He travels to Tatooine and offers them a better life, an opportunity to move to the core world of Naboo and never have to worry about food and water ever again. They accept and move into the capital city of Theed. Anakin develops a good relationship with their family and starts to consider Klieg the father he never had. Anakin and Padme take a very diplomatic approach in their rule. Padme especially remembered how pivotal the Gungans were in defeating the Trade Federation a decade ago, and works hard to improve the relationship between humans and Gungans, giving the Gungans all the rights that the humans of Naboo have. They hold many charity events, raising money for the less fortunate. They build schools, libraries, hospitals, cultivated new lands, expanded their cities, created factories with many more jobs available. They maintain a good relationship with the Chancellor Palpatine, a Naboo native who visits often because he wants to stay close to Anakin and he still has his eyes on him. They have dinner and drinks together a lot, discussing the war and the state of the galaxy as a whole. But Palpatine never misses an opportunity to talk bad on the Jedi and tells Anakin it was smart of him to get out of there when he did. Obi-Wan also visits often as well, although more at the start of the war and less as it went on. Anakin's training was basically complete by Attack of the Clones, and Obi-Wan knew he had nothing more to teach him, so had no moral quarrels letting him leave the Order. Although he did feel as if he failed Anakin and also Qui-Gon, but decided best to not focus on this. The Jedi weren't too happy when Anakin left, as the prophesized chosen one leaving the Jedi was quite embarrassing for them. The only Jedi that said goodbye to Anakin, other than Obi-Wan, was Yoda, who wished him best of luck in the life that followed. Anakin handed the Master his lightsaber and never looked back. About a year into the Clone War, Padme first became pregnant. The royals were delighted with this news and shared it with the public, who were equally as happy. Padme didn't let her pregnancy stop her and continued working until a week before the birth, which reassured the people that Padme's resolve was strong and that they chose the right ruler. She gave birth 9 months later to baby Luke and Leia and held parades throughout the main cities, showing off their newborns. This was tradition on Naboo, and everyone scurried to the parades to grab a glimpse at the new prince and princess of Naboo, and Anakin and Padme could not be happier. A couple of months later, around 2 years into the Clone War, Obi-Wan visits for the first time in a while. He looks worn down, tired, and both Anakin and Padme recognize the toll that the war is having on him. They catch up and introduce Obi-Wan to the twins, who can sense their potential in the Force. He thinks of Satine, who he hasn't seen in years, and wonders what his life could have been if he decided to leave the Order when he met her years ago. But Obi-Wan gets down to business and tells Anakin the Jedi Council have asked him to come see if Anakin will assist them in the war, because if he is the chosen one that Qui-Gon depicted, then he will play a significant role in the end of the war. But Anakin tells Obi-Wan that he's left that life behind and hasn't picked up a lightsaber in years. Anakin still uses the Force often and feels as if his connection to it has only grown spending time with his family and actually serving the best interests of the people of Naboo. He tells Obi-Wan that his family is his priority and he has to decline his offer. Obi-Wan was disappointed, but ultimately didn't expect Anakin to agree. One day after this encounter, Padme found out she was pregnant again with their third child. The war had a tremendous effect on the galaxy, and the people suffered the most. Countless lives were lost, villages and cities destroyed, many of whom didn't care what side was victorious. Palpatine came to visit the Skywalkers again, and did not hesitate in bad-mouthing the Jedi. He told them stories of their war crimes, and ultimately highlighted that they're not what they used to be. They're getting desperate, and constantly blabbering on about the Sith. Palpatine tells them that he started to disagree with a lot of the Jedi's decisions, and he's actually began to fear them, not knowing what they're capable of, and feeds to Anakin his fear that the Jedi might end up taking power for themselves. Palpatine decides it's time to start fully manipulating Anakin, and after the birth of their third child, a girl, is when Palpatine starts placing dreams in Anakin's mind when he sleeps. The first dreams include the Jedi killing the Lars family, and slowly get worse and worse to where the Jedi attack Anakin's own family and burn their house down, showing hooded figures in Jedi robes leaving. These dreams put Anakin into a state of panic, and he remembers the Force dreams he had of his mother that ended up becoming true. History cannot repeat itself, and he can't let these things happen to the people he loves. He discusses the dreams with Padme, but she dismisses them, telling Anakin that they're just that, dreams. But Anakin knows better. He knows his connection to the Force is stronger than others, and that the dreams mean something. Only a couple of days later, he sees Jedi on Naboo, and he asks Padme what they are doing here, who tells Anakin they are simply on a diplomatic mission. The Jedi look over at Anakin and give him a dirty look, and Anakin thinks something else is going on, that they've come to scope out Anakin's home before they attack. Anakin decides to discuss this with the only Jedi he trusts, and tells Obi-Wan he's having Force dreams, but doesn't tell him the content. Obi-Wan admits he's not an expert on Force dreams, and has never experienced them himself, but tells Anakin that he can talk to a more senior member of the Jedi Council if he wishes. Anakin thanks Obi-Wan and takes up his offer. However, only Master Windu is available, someone whom Anakin never truly got along with well. He tells Windu about his dreams, who tells him such visions can be very powerful, and that he must be careful when sensing the future. But then Windu turns rude, and tells Anakin that maybe he'd have a better understanding of his dreams if he continued his training in the Force as a Jedi, and didn't follow his own selfish desires. Anakin simply stares at Windu in the eyes after he says this, and ends the call. But after this interaction, Anakin has come to one conclusion, that the Jedi are seeking revenge on him for leaving the Jedi Order. That night, in Anakin's dreams, one of the Jedi approaches him with a purple lightsaber, and it cannot be a coincidence this shows up right after talking to Windu. The Force is trying to warn him. Palpatine visits the day after, and Anakin discusses his dreams and concerns with Palpatine. The Chancellor tells Anakin that during the Clone War, many Jedi have followed the same path as Anakin, and he inspired them to leave the Order, confounded with their disagreement with the Order and how they are approaching the Clone War. But Palpatine tells him that the Jedi are now more desperate than ever, and is 100% certain that they would make a move for control of the Republic. He asks Anakin to help him, protect him when the Jedi make their move, but Anakin tells him that especially with his dreams, he has to be selfish and can't leave his family alone on Naboo. Palpatine agrees and heads back to Coruscant, but that night, Anakin had a dream of the Jedi attacking Palpatine, which solidifies this in Anakin's mind. He believes he is the chosen one, and that the Force is telling him that now is the time to act against the Jedi that are turning evil, but he can't. He can't leave his family all alone and unprotected. At this time in the story, Palpatine has a few Jedi under his command, including Barriss Offee and Pong Krell, who became disillusioned with the Jedi's ways, and Palpatine pounced on this, turning them into his own personal spies in the Order. He begins the final stages of his plan, and sends them to Naboo, where they kill the last family, and kidnap Padme and the Skywalker children. Anakin was giving a talk when the Jedi attacked, and he saw the smoke instantly. He rushed over, but he was too late, as he saw a Jedi cruiser leaving his home, and a Jedi in robes with a green lightsaber, whom Anakin recognized as Master Pong Krell leaving the scene. Anakin screams as his family is taken away, and his heart sinks, but this turns to anger, as he's told his captors were spotted with colored swords and the light colors of Jedi robes. Anakin knows instantly who this is, and he won't let them get away with it. He immediately travels to Coruscant to meet with Palpatine in his office and tells him of the situation. Palpatine tells Anakin that the Jedi are making their final moves, and if he's to not only survive, but save his family, then he's going to need power to do this. Palpatine offers Anakin a solution: to learn from him and open himself up to the dark side and its teachings. And if he does this, he'll be able to achieve the power to save his wife and children. Anakin tells Palpatine that he'll do it, and decides to join him. At this time, Dooku has just been killed by Plo Koon and Kit Fisto in a decisive battle, so without their leader, the Separatist defeat is inevitable, and the war is essentially over. But at this moment, the Jedi come to Palpatine to force him to give back his emergency powers and remove him from office. Yoda, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Mace Windu, Agen Kolar, and Saesee Tiin enter Palpatine's office, and the Chancellor looks at Anakin, telling him that the Jedi have come to take over the Republic. He hands him a lightsaber and asks Anakin for his help. He accepts, and the two ignite their red blades. The Jedi ignite their lightsabers in response, shocked at the revelation that Palpatine is a Sith Lord and that Anakin had joined him. Together they clash blades. Palpatine unleashes a forced scream, quickly taking out Saesee Tiin and Agen Kolar before they can move, but Yoda blocks his follow-up strike. Anakin takes on Windu, and the two exchange blows back and forth. Palpatine cuts Mundi's leg and blasts him with lightning and goes for the killing blow, but Windu blocks and sends Palpatine back with the Force. Yoda calls for a retreat, and the Jedi back out of the office to recoup their forces, and the Sith have won this fight. Palpatine turns to Anakin and thanks him for his help. He asks Anakin to become his apprentice, to gain the power to find and save his family. Anakin kneels and proclaims that he will join him, that he can't live without his family, and will do anything. Palpatine executes Order 66 and sends Anakin towards the Jedi Temple with the clone army to purge the Jedi. However, in this timeline, the Jedi have a stronger defense. With Mace Windu and Yoda there, the clones are having a difficult time. Anakin kills a lot of Padawans and knights in the foyer, his old skills coming back almost immediately. As Anakin approaches the council chambers, he finds Windu, Yoda, and Obi-Wan defending the younglings inside. Anakin calls for a squadron of clones to assist him, and he advances towards the Jedi. He doesn't know if Obi-Wan was on board with the plot against his family, but he won't stand in his way. Anakin fights Yoda and Obi-Wan, whilst Mace deals with the clones and attacks them with murderous intent. Anakin's skills are not great enough to defeat these two Jedi Masters, and he's ultimately disarmed and pinned to the ground. Anakin rages at them, telling them to let him go, to release his family, and pay for killing the last family. They try to calm him down, and Obi-Wan asks him what he's talking about, but Anakin tells them that they know what they did, kidnapping his family and murdering his step-family. Windu, Yoda, and Obi-Wan look at each other confused. They tell Anakin the Jedi would never do such a thing, but Anakin says he saw it. He saw Master Pong Krell with his wife in his arms. But Obi-Wan tells Anakin that Master Krell was kicked out of the Order over a year ago, and this was not the work of the Jedi. They tell Anakin he's being manipulated by the Sith, that many Jedi have left the Order to join their forces, and this attack on the Jedi is the culmination of Palpatine's plan. This was all news to Anakin, who realizes he's been carefully manipulated, and that Palpatine is the one who kidnapped his family. Together, they leave the Jedi Temple and head to Palpatine's office immediately. They enter to see him standing with Padme and their children, and he calls out to Anakin telling him that he found his family in a secret Jedi hideout, but Anakin tells him to shut it, that he knows the truth. Palpatine's smile fades, and he tells Anakin, so be it. He goes to cut down his wife as retribution, but Obi-Wan reaches out with the Force in time to stop the lightsaber right before it hits, and Yoda pushes Palpatine back with the Force. Anakin pulls his family towards him and hugs them deeply, and the other Jedi rush towards Palpatine. Anakin joins them in attacking the Sith Lord, who is strong and powerful, but no match for the 4 Jedi, and he falls to their lightsabers. Anakin rushes to his wife to make sure they are okay, but they are, and the Skywalker family is reunited again. Ultimately, Palpatine's treachery was exposed to the Senate, and they were able to execute Order 65 and stop the purge of the Jedi. But they have suffered many losses. No crimes were held against Anakin, since he was only following the orders of the Chancellor at the time. But that doesn't mean he's totally innocent. He has to live with the guilt of taking the lives of some Jedi that night. But Anakin knows this will be a lesson for him. He's experienced the dangers of the dark side and how easily it can consume you, and will use this knowledge when teaching his children about the Force, and promises to never let the darkness that temporarily consumed him to ever touch any of his children. They head back to Naboo together, almost instantly after they were reunited, and let the Senate deal with Palpatine's death and the end of the war. Anakin was hailed a hero by the Naboo people after he returned with the family he'd saved, but inside, he definitely didn't feel like one. Naboo wasn't really affected by the Clone War, but this was half due to the fact that Anakin and Padme were great rulers, with policies that significantly improved the lives of the people. Because of this, the Naboo courts vote through a referendum for Anakin and Padme to become the permanent rulers of Naboo, and let the Skywalker family become the official royal family of the planet. The vote passes through 90-10, and they're crowned once again as the permanent king and queen of Naboo. If you enjoyed this video, you have to watch What If Anakin Told the Council About Darth Plagueis the Wise, and What If Darth Vader Revived Padme Amidala. Please like and subscribe to the channel, it helps a bunch, and make sure you leave your thoughts below in the comments. I love replying to you all, and may the Force be with you.